If you work in crewing and manage vessel staffing, and you're tired of working with Excel spreadsheets, looking for a system that will automate candidate management and do it quickly so you can communicate directly from a single window via Telegram, WhatsApp, or email with your candidates while keeping all the information in a single profile, then the Avada HRM system is just for you because these processes are automated here with maximum precision. Moreover, the system is adapted for both desktop and mobile devices. On the left side of the screen, you can see how this system looks on computers directly from a large screen or a laptop screen. And on the right side of the screen, you can see right now how it will work on a mobile phone. Why is this important? Because very often communication with candidates, officers, and so on happens on the go, in transit, and you need to have direct access to this information from a mobile phone. Therefore, the design of our system is made so that it works equally conveniently and quickly, both from mobile devices and directly from laptops and computers. Let's move on to looking at how the system works, what main modules and elements it consists of. The first most important module is the feed, the so-called feed where all your candidates you work with end up, right? No matter what jurisdictions you work in, candidates end up here. And if they have a phone number and their resume, the system determines their jurisdiction by phone number. You immediately see the flags and can continue working with potential candidates. You can filter candidates. Next, working with each candidate, you interact with their profile, which has a photo, details about the profile. Yes, you can further view and their resume. The system determines their jurisdiction by phone number. You immediately see the flags and can continue working with the potential candidates. That's working with each candidate. You interact with their profile, which has a photo, details about, yes. You get as you can view the next information, which is directly related to correspondence, chats, email, WhatsApp. Why is this needed? This is needed so that in a single WhatsApp you do it, and it looks like this. Via Telegram, you do it from this chat, right, without leaving their profile, just by switching the chat. If you need to make some notes, you make notes here. A separate video explains in detail how all of this works. We won't waste time on that here. We'll just highlight how it can work for crew. Thus, when you are forming a crew, you have several websites running, several ads, all information goes into a single feed, and you immediately observe in real time who these candidates are. Several of your managers who handle candidates can immediately see this information automatically and process it, while you, as the director, observe all of this and closely see what status each candidate is in. Next, working with candidates, you also work in a chat format. Why is this convenient? Because each chat has its own status, and you can move this candidate from status to status, thereby understanding what stage of processing they are at. Someone you just wrote, they are in the new section. Someone is at the interview stage, which means they are here. If you need to write something to them, you go to notes, put notes. If you want to write to them, relatively speaking, on Telegram or WhatsApp, you go in and write to them through the corresponding chat from corporate WhatsApp or Telegram. Everything is convenient in one place. And most importantly, all of this works on mobile devices. That is, if for some reason it's inconvenient to work at the computer at the moment or at all, right? You go in like this from a mobile device and see specifically all the information on your candidate. Everything you see on on the computer, you see the same on a mobile device. Let's move on to the next section. This is employees, already staff, the actual crew. You've started staffing. You already understand that you have, relatively speaking, vessel 1, vessel 2, vessel 3, vessel 4. You need to staff the crew, and you need to understand specifically who these people are and how to communicate with them quickly. You can also do this quickly as follows. That is, some candidate, you mark them with employee status, set them accordingly to the right vessel. Here it is team, right? And they appear in our chats section, which is located right here. Further, if you don't want to bother with vessel names here, but you just want to understand who your engineers are, who your chief engineers are, who is, say, your chief mate, who is your captain, and so on, you can label all these tabs here, which are folders, accordingly. That is, these are your captains, these are your engineers, these are marine engineers, and so on. When a client comes and asks you if you have a captain or a chief mate, you open your system. Okay, who is our captain? And you see immediately. If you need to write, okay, let's write to him that we have an offer. And you write it right here. It arrives, flies to his WhatsApp, or it flies to his Telegram or email, or however we set it up for you to make it as convenient as possible. Moving on to the next section. This is a separate section, trainees. Yes, it happens that you need to make junior officers in the form of trainees. This can be separated into such a section, but we won't dwell on it for long now. Next is the vacancies section. The vacancies section, why might it be of interest to you? It's interesting because, for example, you are looking for a captain for some vessel, right? And you have received a new vacancy. You create it, this vacancy appears right here on the board, right? And you can mark candidates who are a good fit for this vacancy, right? Like this, yes. That is, the vacancy card opens, and here you can edit accordingly which potential candidates fit this vacancy. The closer the vacancy is to closing, right, you can move it like this and thus track what specifically is happening with this card, make tags. Vacancy, the dashboard with vacancies can be in the form of, as you see now, well, in this one, yes, and in the Kanban format for convenience, because very often on mobile devices, it is convenient to look differently. That is, we look like this on mobile devices on the go when we need to get quick access to information. Next, loading is a separate element that might also be of interest to you, but I will provide a link in a separate video. You can also watch how it works. Next, statistics will also be in a separate video for which I will provide a link. You can watch, right? Well, and the settings section, when you can, for convenient work with the system, configure all the statuses you have in the system. These statuses that I show, statuses of the actual crews, statuses of vacancies that are located here, and the like. That is, everything is concentrated in one system and it is visible on one board, and you don't need to switch to some spreadsheets, and you can respond as quickly as possible in the chat to your suitable candidates who are currently most relevant to you. What is also very interesting in this system is that we can customize it specifically for you, for your requirements. Since we are the developers of this system, we have access to the source code and some separate things that are extremely important for your company, and they need to be made in accordance with the business processes you have. We customize this system, and it becomes even more convenient specifically for your goals and objectives.